made by 5 friends in Italy in December 2012. It
Ooh,
measures 13,580 square feet. And
damn.
this is the largest truck in the world. It's the Bellesi dump truck. And this truck is over 65 feet long, 33 feet wide, and 26 feet tall.
Next, it is almost impossible to speak the biggest word in the English language. And it's on the screen now, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce it.
Me either. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys enjoy your time here, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary and creepy videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man, who's tapping in with us, subscribing to the channel, hitting that like button, man, and watching the video entirely, pushing us into the algorithm. Really appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today, man. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Let's seek the truth.
How rare is your body? Only 10% of people are left-handed. However, they actually tend to live shorter lives. And only 1% of people in the world are ambidextrous. It means you have no preference of which hand you write and draw with. And only 1.5% of people have a single palm crease. This is mostly found in males and is a hereditary trait. And less than 1% of people have an extra rib. Most of us have 24 ribs, but some people are actually born with 25. And it's called a cervical rib. Now, 3% of people have these little X's on their palms. It's extremely rare, but it's a sign that you have strong character.
Here's what some of the most famous monsters actually
I have
are.
X on my palm?
The chupacabra. The goat-griefing livestock leech believed to be first seen in Puerto Rico was more than likely a dog with a severe case of mange, and that's when mites burrow into the skin and basically cause parasitic alopecia. Bigfoot. Different animals, same beast, or whatever it was Kobe said. Anyway, it was probably a mangy bear. Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C. What the hell mange does? Coke bear done graduated to meth? And I don't mean numbers. The Loch Ness Monster. There have been many theories, but what's most likely was probably just an escaped circus elephant with trunks out like Dragon Ball. For centuries, there have been stories of killer cyclops, a one-eyed op to humanity. Whole time, someone probably just found an expired elephant skull in an Olympic long jump to a conclusion. And last, almost every sea monster story you've ever heard was probably just some whale freeing his willy. That's exactly what you think it is, the more you know.
It is,
These are
what the
scary
hell?
what-if theories. What if everything behind you disappears, but when you look back, it reappears? What if our shadows were warning us about something in the dark because they disappear in it? What if you're the only person left on Earth and everyone and everything around us are just imaginary people and things we've made up so that we don't feel lonely? What if every time you think you hear your name being called, it's actually just your family trying to wake you up from a coma? What if the meteor that killed the dinosaurs was actually a UFO and we're the aliens?
Tell me, seekers, man, down below, what are the most freaking weirdest what if questions she asked? I think when she said about the aliens and how if we hear our real name being called by family, we're really trying to wake up from a coma. I couldn't even imagine that.
Wholesome facts that'll make your day slightly better. Part 2. If you've already made it to the airport without dying, you shouldn't be nervous about flying because you've already made it through the deadliest part of plane travel. Whenever you pet an animal, it actually lowers your cortisol levels, which is the stress hormone. Side note, this may not work on electric eels, porcupines, or anything that could decimate you in 2 seconds.
You think?
Because guinea pigs get lonely, it's actually illegal in Switzerland to own just one. You have to get at least 2 if you want to have any at all. Sometimes tarantulas will keep tiny frogs as pets. The frogs will eat small insects that would typically eat the tarantula eggs, and in exchange, the frog gets a pretty damn good bodyguard. Capybara Land is a place in Japan where you can quite literally hang out with capybaras and see them chilling in hot springs. If 99% of the world's population finds you unattractive, that would mean that 78 million people still find you attractive.
You got a chance. You got a shot out there with somebody, bro. That's insane, man. Even if half the population thinks you're
This is
ugly.
one of the craziest urban legends I've ever heard. And it ended up being true. So almost 100 years ago, there was an aquarium in Australia that had a giant tiger shark on display. And the legend goes that one day, in front of like groups of families, the shark threw up a human arm. And not only is that true, but it opened a murder investigation. Also, this week's episode is all about Australian true urban legends, so make sure you listen. So after the shark threw up the human arm, the police had to figure out whose it was and why it was in the shark's belly. Well, the first thing the police noticed was the arm was cut cleanly, not jagged like it was from a shark bite, meaning that the arm was intentionally cut. So now it's clear that this was a murder, but whose arm is it? Well, one thing they noticed is that the arm has two boxers in a fighting stance tattooed on it. So they end up writing about that in the paper, and one guy who was reading it goes, "Hey, that sounds like my brother's tattoo." His brother was a man named Jim Smith, and he was involved in the seedy underbelly of Sydney society. Jimmy ran insurance fraud scams in Sydney, and he was just involved with a lot of bad people. And the last person he was seen with was one of Sydney's most notorious criminals. The story has a lot of twists, including how was he involved with the last guy he was seen with. And there's a lot of fun Australian urban legends, like the story of the Button Man. So make sure you check out this week's episode.
Fun fact of the day that my small brain cannot physically comprehend. This one really did make me say, what the fuck? I want you to do me a favor and pour yourself a glass of water. Do it! Now, there is an immensely high chance that that water you're about to drink is older than the solar system. This is because it existed in ice specks floating in cosmic clouds before any of this shit came to be. Oh, and one more thing. Scientists estimate that every glass of water you drink has 100% passed through a dinosaur. So put immensely bluntly, the most vital thing humans need to survive is Jurassic wee-wee. My brain! Let's make a deal. If you didn't know these facts or they shocked you in any way, you have to share it. Now remind someone to stay hydrated today. And then immediately send them this video. We're so evil. Elon!
Jurassic wee-wee, bro. What the hell? I didn't even know that, but if you think about it, yeah, like the water we drinking, I guess he said they've been passed through dinosaurs, man. We drink Jurassic wee-wee, man. The more you know. Tap in with us. You gonna learn some things.
What's the most dangerous place on Earth? Number 8 is Lake Natron in Tanzania. The lake's so alkaline, animals get mummified. 7, Morgan Island, off the coast of South Carolina. 4,000 monkeys all infected with the herpes B virus. 6 is Mexico's giant crystal cave. 1,000 feet underground. Cave is 113 degrees Fahrenheit and 100% humidity. 5, Oymyakon, Russia. The coldest town on Earth, reaching minus 50 degrees. Number 4, Runnet Island. In the 70s, the U.S. government buried radioactive plutonium. Number 3, the K2 Summit. It's the inhospitable mountain summit in the world. Number 2 is Snake Island, an island full of thousands of poisonous snakes. It's illegal to go here. Number 1 is North Sentinel Island, home to the indigenous people who have violently rejected contact with the outside world. So much so, if you even get close, they'll swim out to you and try to kill you.
Now this is insane. Today I learned that in a remote village in Turkey, there is a family that walks on all fours. Now these individuals have baffled scientists since they were first discovered in 2005, and initially experts couldn't explain why they were the only known humans to walk on all fours. The only theory that they had was that humans were beginning to devolve. Yes, I am not kidding. I literally just posted a YouTube video reacting to some of these insane theories. The documentary on the family got roasted so hard that they had to turn off the comments. It's pretty good, check it out. Now the real reason that they walk on all fours, and to sum it up very simply, their parents are first cousins and have 18 children. And unfortunately, because of this, they were born with an extremely rare disorder that makes them lose their sense of balance. They had no balance as babies, and instead of learning to stand upright and walk like the rest of us, they remained crawling for life.
Damn, crawling for life? I couldn't do that.
Unfortunately, on Saturday, April 20th of this year in Newport, Michigan, a child's birthday that's supposed to be filled with joy was then filled with sadness and grief. 66-year-old Marcella Chidester drove her car into Swan Boat Club where a birthday party was being hosted. There, she unalived 2 children and injured 13 other individuals. Later in court, she testified stating that she had a seizure while she was driving and that caused her to have the accident. But police testified stating that she was tested for alcohol and she was highly intoxicated at the time of the crash. Her lawyer then claimed she did have 1 glass of wine before getting behind the wheel, but police said based on her BAC, blood alcohol concentration, it's impossible she only had 1 drink. As of April 23rd, she's being held on a $1.5 million bond and is being charged with murder. Being that this case is so recent, her exact jail sentence has not yet been determined. The 2 victims are 8-year-old Lana Phillips and her younger brother, 4-year-old Zane Phillips. I've put a link to a GoFundMe in the comments section for this family, and in the meantime, how long do you think Marcella should receive in jail?
Does anyone remember
How long
they were building a
seekers?
freeway outside of St. Louis and they found over 200 bodies in one spot? And before I even get into it, you know that's what tonight's episode is going to be about.
Whoa.
So outside of St. Louis, there's this one area that has all of these strange mounds. There's no hills anywhere else, so people always wondered if they were man-made. But in the 1960s, when they were building a freeway there, they had to cut through these mounds for construction. So they thought they would just cut into them and there would be dirt inside. But that was not the case. One of the mounds had 272 bodies buried inside of it.
Damn.
And they were like, what is going on? Is this from a serial killer? Well, two things. First, the bodies were in really bad shape. The skeletons were largely women, and they were all lined up in these rows. And the ones that weren't women, a couple of them had been beheaded. And the second thing is that these bodies were 1,000 years old. It turns out that these mounds were from an ancient civilization that practiced human sacrifice. And this was kind of a big discovery because historians didn't think that indigenous Americans practiced ritual sacrifice until that discovery. But why were they sacrificing people and how were they doing it? Well, if you want to know more about what was happening in the area and you maybe want to know more about human sacrifice in general, you're definitely going to want to check out tonight's episode.
That's actually insane, Seekers, man. It wasn't just one, man. There's like they said it was like 2 or 3 of them, so they was all filled up to the brim. Man. More you know, bro. Like, times back then, people went to some dark things, man.
These are the biggest things in the world. Up first, we have the world's biggest functioning iPhone. It's made by the YouTuber Matthew B. It's over 6 feet tall, and yes, actually works. And this is the world's largest pizza, which is enough to feed an entire village. It was made by 5 friends in Italy in December 2012. It measures 13,580 square feet. And
Damn.
This is the largest truck in the world. It's the Belize dump truck. And this truck is over 65 feet long, 33 feet wide, and 26 feet tall.
These are interesting facts to tell your friends, part 1. Up first, did you know 2 days in your life will not last 24 hours? And those days are the day you were born and the day you will die. This is absolutely insane, and just wrap your head around that for a second. Next, it is almost impossible to speak the biggest word in the English language. And it's on the screen now, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce it.
Me either.
Next up, you only know you fell asleep when you wake up. So next time you're laying in bed trying to sleep, just know you won't know you fell asleep until you've woken up. Next up, you can feel that your toes are touching, but your brain just ignores it. Do me a favor and try and feel your toes touching. I bet you can. Next, 90% of people after a discussion are left thinking of arguments of stuff they could have talked about. And I know I'm 100% guilty of this. Next, our brain generates about 50,000 thoughts a day. I guarantee you can't even write down 50,000 thoughts. Finally, the last person you think about before you fall asleep is the source of all of your pain or all of your joy. So, just remember that.
Really? I never even thought about it like that. Who do you guys think about before you guys fall asleep? Is it joy or pain?
Fun facts that you might find pretty damn interesting. Number 1, banging your head against a wall for an hour burns 150 calories. Number 2, approximately 40,000 Americans are injured by toilets each year. Number 3, there's a higher chance of you being elected president of the United States than winning the lottery. Number 4, an average of 100 people choke to death on ballpoint pens each year. Number 5, it is harder to be an employee at Walmart than a student at Harvard because Walmart has a lower acceptance rate. Number 6, human birth control pills work on gorillas. Number 7, there are 2 million millionaires in the United States. I am not one of them. And number 8, like fingerprints, every tongue print is different from person to person.
That's actually a freaking mind-blowing fact with the one she said about president, man. That the president, that really goes to show you, man, how sometimes, man, I think the lottery, man, is just freaking corrupted, or there's a theory behind it where, like, they be choosing people to win. Because that makes no sense how you have a higher chance of becoming a president than actually winning the lottery. If you said that to a person, they probably look at you like you was crazy. But I guarantee you that's true.
This is why you should never go swimming in a lake again. If you ever go swimming in a lake, you can get a very severe brain infection called an agleria, and it's caused by amoebas that are found in lakes and rivers. The amoeba will then start slowly eating your brain, which you would most likely die from. This is extremely rare to get, But every time you go into a lake, you actually risk getting it. So, I for one am never going in a lake again, and I think you guys should do the same.
Thanks for that helpful information. We will not be doing it.
We are
No.
the most dangerous thing in Massachusetts. Yep, I'm talking about the Bookwoodsies. We're those legendary forest spirits you've probably heard whispers about. We've been hanging around Massachusetts' woods since the Wampanoag tribes first called this place home. Sure, we can be a bit of a nuisance to humans, and once upon a time, we kinda got along. But then things took a turn for the worse, and humans started coming after us hard. Ever since, we've had it out for humans, not holding back and taking them out whenever we see a chance. We're all about messing with our targets, and what we do next, well, that depends on who you run into us at. If you're a hiker who's lost, we might help you find your way, though not back to the trailhead, if you catch my drift. Out hunting, watch out for our poison arrows, and if you're a young woman, well, we've got plans that don't bear going into. Long story short, if you're wandering through Massachusetts, keep your eyes peeled and know your surroundings. Comment your name if you want to be protected, and if you have an encounter with us, get away as soon as possible because
you will never go near the woods again if you watch this documentary. It is about hunters and people who specialize in being in the wilderness who just vanish without a trace. And I'm not talking like they wander into the woods and just go missing. In one of these cases, a guy went into the woods with a group of his friends and they went hunting. He was only about a couple of feet away from them when suddenly they turned around and he was gone. In many of these cases, massive search parties are released to try to find these people and they are never found. A couple of theories are discussed in this doc, like paranormal theories, Sasquatch theories, ideas that maybe they like fell into crevasses. If trained professionals are going missing in the wilderness, you bet your ass I'm not going anywhere near the woods. Let me know in the comments if you've ever experienced anything weird in the wilderness, and hit follow for more docs to watch.
She nailed it, man. Those are trained professionals going in the woods and they just disappearing, dropping off the face of the earth, and I ain't going nowhere near there, bro.
A woman who was missing for 30 years was just found alive in Puerto Rico. So Patricia Copta vanished without a trace from her home in Pennsylvania in 1992. The situation surrounding her disappearance was a little strange and scary because Patricia's mental health had been getting worse and worse over the years. So when she disappeared, the police told her younger sister and husband that they thought she left on her own accord and basically closed the case. They thought that she would maybe come back, but then 30 years went by with no phone calls and no contact. Everyone in her life had assumed she passed away. But recently, an 83-year-old woman in an elderly home in Puerto Rico started opening up to a nurse for the first time. The woman had been diagnosed with dementia and started bringing up things in her life that she had never spoken about before. This alarmed one of the nurses at the facility, who contacted authorities to get a DNA test because she started believing that this woman was a missing woman from the United States. And sure enough, it was Patricia. She had never told anyone about her previous life and had never contacted her family. Her husband and sister were contacted because they're still alive and they were shocked.
Could you guys imagine that, man, just finding a lost relative like that?
12-year-old girl unalived her entire family so she could be with her 23-year-old boyfriend. Jasmine Richardson was a normal kid until she turned 11 years old. She started dressing in a darker aesthetic, liking some darker things. She would post on websites like MySpace and VampireFreaks.com, telling people she was 15 instead of 11. Because the thing about Jasmine is, even though she was 11, she didn't look 11. She always kind of looked older than she actually was. She started sneaking out to hang out with her new older friends and would meet older guys. By the time that Jasmine was 12 years old, she was in a full-on relationship with this freak, 23-year-old Jeremy. And just so you know, just because she was lying about her age on social media, this guy was fully aware that his girlfriend was 12 years old, a literal preteen, and he would also tell people that he was a 300-year-old werewolf. So for context, we are dealing with a full-on freak. Jasmine's parents were horrified when they found out that their 12-year-old daughter was online telling people that she was older than she actually was, and that she was dating a full-on adult. So they did their best to keep Jeremy away. Jasmine and Jeremy didn't want to be apart, and they thought that the only way that they could be together together is if Jasmine's parents were no longer alive. What started out as jokes became real plans to not only unalive Jasmine's parents, but her 8-year-old brother as well. On April 22nd, 2006, Jasmine secretly led Jeremy into her home where he brutally unalived her parents. Jasmine's 8-year-old brother, Jacob, heard the entire thing while hiding in his room holding his lightsaber for protection. It's like heart-shattering. It's unclear who actually unalived 8-year-old Jacob because Jasmine and Jeremy blame each other for his death. Jasmine and Jeremy thought that they were soulmates, and now with her parents out of the picture, they were going to be together forever. But in reality, that was not the case. They were actually quickly brought to justice because they were bragging to anyone that would listen about what they had just done to her entire family. And of course, as soon as they were arrested, the soulmates turned on each other. Jeremy was sentenced to 3 life sentences, but due to Jasmine's age, she only served 6 years in a rehabilitation center and 4 years on probation. She was fully released into society in 2017 and has been out living in society, free as a bird, ever since under a new name. Actually, a lot of controversy in this case because of that, but what do you think? Do you think Jasmine is a victim, a child manipulated by a predator, or do you think if she's old enough to do the crime, she's old enough to do the time?
Terrifying facts you never knew.
You know what to
If
do.
your immune system ever found out that you have eyeballs, you would go blind. Which means right now your immune system has no clue that you can see. Because if it did, they would attack your eyeballs until you can no longer ever see. This is because your eyeballs have a protein in them called crystalline that doesn't exist anywhere else in your body. So if your immune system found out and checked them out, it would be like, something's wrong here. Studies show that most serial killers are born in November. Today's high school students have the same anxiety levels as insane asylum patients had in the 1950s. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, my anxiety might be up there too. There's a disease called fatal familial insomnia, where people suddenly one day lose their ability to fall asleep, which leads them to slowly go insane. They can't distinguish dreams from reality anymore and go into some type of paranoia. It becomes so severe that they eventually die. Those that make it to the final stage and don't die usually end up in a vegetative state, no longer conscious. And it can happen to any one of you. About 3,000 people go missing every year in the United States. The last execution by guillotine was in 1977. This was in France. And also that was the same year the first Star Wars movie came out. You are always 6 minutes away from death, but breathing resets the clock. In 2011, Anatoly Yakovich was arrested for having 12 dolls in his apartment. Only problem is, they weren't normal dolls. They were recently deceased little girls that had been dug up and dressed to be put on display. In 2012, a Burger King employee anonymously posted this to 4chan. It said, "This is the lettuce you eat at Burger King." It only took 20 minutes for people to track down the branch that he worked at, and he was fired. You really never know what people are doing to your food. H.H. Holmes was a serial killer who built a torture hotel in the 19th century. He had secret rooms with gas chambers, trap doors, and stairs that led to nowhere. He loved to play with his victims' minds. It was almost like a real-life Saw movie. There's a bridge in Scotland called the Overtoun Bridge, and for some reason, dogs keep jumping off of it at the same spot. Yeah, they just jump to their deaths. Experts can't figure out why either. Some people speculate it's a magnetic field, or maybe a frequency that only they can hear, but others believe it's something supernatural. But whatever is making dogs jump off that bridge to their deaths is still to this day unexplained. Joe McDamey was an infamous serial killer who not only cooked his victims to eat for himself, but also made them into burgers using their remains. He then sold them to unsuspecting customers from a roadside food stand. We really never know what we eat. I'm cooking all my food myself. That's why I don't eat over people's house. In 2021, a new homeowner was shocked to find a boarded up wall. When he ripped the boards off the wall, he discovered a hole. In that hole was a doll clutching a note. The note saying that she killed a family who lived there in the 1960s. Be honest, would you move out?
I'm
In
out.
1978, there was a pilot named Frederick Valentin. Him and his plane disappeared in Australia. And his last communication was, "Melbourne, that strange aircraft is hovering above me again." It is hovering, and it is not an aircraft. This is a mugshot of William West and William West. Oh, and they're not related at all, but they were both sent to Leavenworth Prison at the exact same time in 1903. And after some confusion, the staff finally figured out they were two different people who had the exact same name and looked identical. This was said to be one of the main reasons why we now use fingerprints to identify somebody. There's biotech being developed as we speak that can make prisoners feel they are serving an 1,000-year sentence in a matter of 8 hours. That's horrifying. Imagine thinking you spent 1,000 years somewhere And then when you wake up and snap out of it, you realize that it was only a couple hours. Do you know how crazy that is? Anyways, like this video if you want a part 2.
Basically put you on a genjutsu, bro. That's actually insane, man, if you think about it, man. Those facts, the more you know, man. The more you know. Seekers, if you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support, man. Like I said, I do daily uploads, man. So always make sure you guys check the channel at least once time every single day. You guys can expect the banger to be uploaded. Like I said, man, just sub up to the channel, hit the post notification bell, follow me on my social medias. Links in the description down below. Hit the like button, man. It helps push us into the algorithm, man, so we can just take off in it one day. But we're going to continue to grow step by step every single day. Guys, I'm catching the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, seekers? Welcome back to the channel, man. Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new here, if you guys don't know what we do, we break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, man, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook reels, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank the seekers, man, who's been tapping in with us, man, summing up to the channel. I really appreciate that, man. That's how we grow the seekers, man. But you guys liking the video, subscribing, and hitting that post notification bell, we can grow our community together. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Let's seek the truth.
Suffered a botched circumcision and was raised as a girl for 13 years. In 1965, David Reimer was born a boy along with his brother in Winnipeg, Canada. But at 8 months, he suffered a botched circumcision and unfortunately, his genitals were accidentally burnt off. While his twin brother was fine, David's damage could not be fixed. So David's parents consulted with Dr. John Money and he suggested that David undergo sex reassignment surgery and be given hormones and instead be raised as a girl. His parents took the advice and changed David's birth name from Bruce to Brenda. Dr. Money believed that David could be easily raised as a girl despite being born as a biological male. The doctor even told David's parents to never tell him or his twin brother what happened to him as a baby. As the twins got older, Dr. Money continued to see them for annual checkups, but it's been said that during these appointments, he would make them rehearse sexual acts as he photographed them. Throughout David's childhood, he rejected anything feminine and consistently showed masculine traits. By the time he reached 13 years old, he was suicidal and his mom realized that he wasn't happy being a girl. Soon after, David's father finally told him the truth and immediately he changed his name from Brenda to David. David then began taking testosterone and going through various operations to rebuild his genitals. But he continued to suffer from psychological trauma throughout his life due to Dr. Money's experiment, and not long after, his twin brother passed away. And sadly, at the age of 38, David committed suicide. A lot of people blame Dr. Money for David's death, but his defense is that it was the right thing to do at the time.
When I think of theme park rides...
Really, seekers? That was the right thing to do at the time? I don't think so, man. That whole situation is just crazy and insane, bro. Imagine that happening to you. You didn't realize that till later in your life. Not too many words on that case, seekers.
It's likely to kill someone. I don't think about the miniature railway. Unfortunately, that's exactly what happened at Gulliver's Land in Milton Keynes. Hugh Doe was 56 and from Newport Pagnell in Bucks. He was an engineer and he was working at Gulliver's Land on May the 10th, 2006. He had been doing some maintenance on the miniature railway train at the theme park, and after the work was completed, it's reported that he stood up after giving the driver the all clear to move the train on. Tragically, he was killed instantly when the train went into a tunnel. Hideously, it's reported that he suffered a huge amount of trauma to his skull and brain before being dragged through the 10-foot-long tunnel. When a health and safety spokeswoman was asked for comment, she stated that he had been decapitated. She stated, "There was probably 2.5 to 3 inches between the top of the carriage and the tunnel." The park was closed to members of the public the day after the incident as a mark of respect for the victim. There was an inquest into Hugh Doe's death. Eventually it was announced that Hugh's death was labelled as misadventure.
You think people act on like
Misadventure? The thing I'm most surprised to see is that the freaking that theme park they shut down for a day, man. Cause you know usually, man, you be hearing the freaking stories about what happens at these theme parks, and they just go on just like it's just a regular day, man. Cause you know all this corporation cares about is the money, so that's actually really surprising to me that they actually closed down for a day. Habitum Seekers? The hell? And they labeled it as misadventure. I don't think that's something you should label it like that. Anyway, let's continue, Seekers.
Your shit. After you literally cut up fucking flesh and bones and eyeballs and brains. Like, who the fuck wants to eat shit like that?
You never know.
You never know.
You never know.
So prison really was not any type of difference for you. When I came on the trial and told my story about how I was kidnapped and how I attacked you, and you claimed that I tried to kill you, it was
You did try to kill me with a knife.
It was self-defense.
Oh.
You were never going to let me go.
Blood-curdling facts that you...
What the... He went to her face to face. She was known for cooking people and stuff like that. And when he tried to defend himself, she said, "You try to take me out." I was like, that's a natural response, man. To anybody would do that. You trying to take them out, obviously they're gonna try to protect and defend themselves, Seekers, man. What we going through people's minds? Like I said, when they be doing these acts, they just think that they can just get away with anything, man. It truly is like they don't have a grasp on reality. Seekers, what do you guys think about that case?
You wish you never knew. Part 13. Hundreds of thousands of bodies have either been lost or buried at sea, so every time you swim in the ocean, you're basically bathing in a graveyard. Chainsaws were originally invented for childbirth. Female mummies in ancient Egypt were always decomposed more than the male ones, and this is because the male bodies were embalmed a lot sooner while the female bodies were kept at the family home until they started to decompose a little bit. And this was to prevent people from having sex with the dead female bodies. Vlad the Impaler was called this because he would place his enemies ass first on pointed poles that would slowly skewer them to death. Fatal familial insomnia is a disease where a person literally cannot go to sleep no matter what they take or what they do. The symptoms get progressively worse until they die of exhaustion. And for the last one, you might want to look up who invented blow-up dolls.
These are the people that
checking that out,
left almost
Seekers.
200 bodies in their funeral home to rot for over 4 years. They were stealing people's money, not actually cremating their loved ones, and let me just show you their Facebook post and what they were actually doing with this money. Here they are, August 10th, 2021, on a family vacation in New York City at the Empire State Building. In October of 2021, it looks like they were actually trying to buy his grandparents' old house. And they say, "We had a cash offer ready to go. Wonder where all that cash came from." Here's November 9th, 2021. Looks like they're in South Beach, Miami now, which is not cheap. Staying at a hotel right on the beach. And here they are just 1 month later in December of 2021, bragging about their nice hotel in San Francisco. And then in February of 2022, another vacation, this time to Vegas. Him and his wife and his family all going on these vacations. Here's a post from December 2021 talking about how he's so happy with where his businesses are at, the right people in the right place doing the right thing at the right time. Yeah, you were never doing the right thing.
You just Seekers, man. People like that just like have no morals, man. Like, you're supposed to be taking care of those freaking bodies, and y'all just took the money and ran and just went on lavish vacations, and then you're acting like you earned their money, talking about people being in the right place at the right time. No, you cheated and stole that freaking money from the families. Like, the people understand like how that affects them, and you just left all those freaking people, the coffers, man. Like, what happened to their freaking bodies, bro? Man, Seekers, man. People, when they be doing these things, I don't think they understand like how much it'll affect another person. Truly, man. Edit. call it like I said. I said that.
He says that having his own fingers amputated has made him feel more complete. Yet he says he's only 46% of the way to becoming an alien. And what he has planned next is disturbing. This man hails from Montpellier, France, and his name is Anthony Lafredo. Anthony calls himself the Black Alien. He began his transformation at the age of 27, and in order to look less and less like a human, he's already had tattoos all over his body, as well as numerous cosmetic surgeries such as removing his tongue, nose, ears, and 2 fingers. He's also had his teeth dyed purple, and the whites of his eyes black. He even had silicone implants implanted. To justify all this, he explains, first you have to know what you want, then you have to have the courage to say it, and finally you have to have the energy to do it. According to some sources, his next steps are to have his legs amputated and to become very thin. So we wonder what he'll look like when he's reached 100% of his transformation. And more importantly, we wonder why nobody's stopping him because he's clearly hurting himself. But he says, I'm lucky enough to live the life I want, to do what I want physically. It's absolute freedom. There's no one to stop me. Except that he still complains when he gets kicked out of public places like certain restaurants, which don't hesitate to ask him to leave.
Now the rarest...
He must have become an alien seekers, and all the videos we covered together, this is my first time I heard something like that, man. And he's going through the process, man. He's got all those tattoos. Like I said, the first time when I saw him, it looked like something had just happened to him, like he was in an incident or something. But to hear that he was doing it to himself, man, because he wanted to become an alien, bro, and he wants to get this full form, like he said, he wants to get thinner, man. Seekers, we're gonna have to check out that case, man. If you guys can check it out, find some more details, tell me down below, bro. We gotta find him, man. That human alien, bro. The black alien, that's what they call him.
This lip type is a Cupid's bow lip, where the middle of the upper lip dips down and there are 2 distinct peaks on either side. You can also see it more clearly here. It's difficult to quantify as there haven't been any high quality studies, but it's thought that less than 5% of people have this lip shape.
Interesting.
Everyone laughed at him when he married her, but 2 years later, they regretted it. The story begins with this guy named Sean, who met Amelia and instantly fell in love. But when he would tell his friends about her, they would just laugh. But Sean knew he loved Amelia and was going to propose to her. Amelia had always been bullied because of her weight, but Sean loved her no matter what. When they went out in public, they would get dirty looks. People would laugh at them in the streets. But Sean did not care and decided to marry her. 2 years down the line, Amelia had a secret that Sean did not know about. Sean was so in love with Amelia, he decided to marry her regardless of people laughing at him. They got married on the beach and looked very happy. But 2 years down the line, Amelia had a deep secret. Sean started to notice that something was off. The couple looked happy, but Amelia was keeping something from Sean. Amelia had been distant for many months, and one day Sean decided to ask Amelia what was wrong. Amelia finally opened up and said that she had been cheating on Sean. Immediately when Sean heard this, he was shocked. He was so angry and felt betrayed.
In Texas, a 17-year-old named Isaac Gonzalez was arrested after cutting his ankle monitor off and taunting police on social media. Gonzalez, a murder suspect, who fired around 100 bullets into a residence, resulting in the unintended killing of an innocent woman named Novita Brazil and the injury of another person. He is now facing charges of murder and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Additionally, an unnamed 15-year-old boy is facing a murder charge in connection to the incident. The shooting took place when Gonzalez and the 15-year-old mistakenly targeted the wrong house, believing it to belong to a rival gang. This led to the death of Novita Brazil, a 25-year-old woman who was studying at her home. Following the shooting, the suspects engaged in a high-speed chase with the police and discarded several firearms believed to have been used in the incident. They were initially apprehended, but were able to post bail. During their arrests, both suspects displayed a shocking disregard for law enforcement and the seriousness of their actions.
You could tell, man, he's like he was throwing up signs when he was getting taken away. People need to have more regard, man, for freaking human life, bro. And they did it at the wrong house as well. He was just an innocent bystander, bro. Man. Bone-chilling story seekers, bro. Gotta be more careful out here, man. You can never know what would have happened. Get it?
This pedophile mom in Ohio committed one of the most horrific crimes I've ever read about. I'm going to add a trigger warning in here right now. This is a very, very disturbing story, so viewer discretion is advised. So this is Ashley Jessup from Ohio. And in 2012, she was found guilty of rape and sentenced to life in prison. But who did Ashley assault? Well, it was her own 10-month-old baby. At the time of this crime, Ashley was dating 24-year-old Jordan Russell. The two seemed to be very in love, and they frequently exchanged explicit materials over email and text message, of themselves, obviously. But then in August of 2011, Jordan asked Ashley to do something shocking. He asked her to perform explicit acts on her own 10-month-old baby son. And obviously he wanted her to film it and send it to him so he could keep these videos and images. And for some shocking reason, Ashley actually obliged. And she performed graphic and gruesome acts on her own son. So later that month, Jordan had actually broken up with Ashley, and he already had a new girlfriend. And this new girlfriend of Jordan's was going through his computer when she discovered these extremely disturbing images and contacted the police. So obviously when the details of this case were made public, everybody was absolutely shocked. And the judge in this case actually stated that in his 30-year career, this was one of the most bizarre and disturbing cases he had ever had to cover. So Ashley was eventually convicted of a litany of charges, including assault, rape on a minor, everything like that. And she's still in prison to this day, serving out that life sentence. Now, this is a really, really disturbing story, and I really do think that she should be in prison for a very, very long time.
The scene of one of the
Secrets. Like I said, judge about 30 years, never seen something freaking that weird and bizarre. You didn't find out until today, man. It's like these people, when they freaking do these acts, like, they truly don't think about the freaking consequences, man. And they hit that the freaking night guy and her boyfriend freaking requested it. I feel like something should happen to him as well, because he even freaking requested it. He wanted to see something like that, so something's obviously off in his freaking head as well. So I feel like something should happen to him too. It's like, no, dude, that's getting on something that young as well. What the? Heebie-jeebies, bro. Damn.
The most notorious crimes of the 1990s is for sale in Boulder, Colorado. The house where John Benet Ramsey lived and died has hit the market for $6.25 million. I've done my best to match up the listing photos with the crime scene photos, so we're going to take a walk through and see what's changed and what remains the same. But first, let's talk about that price. A recent study done by Real Estate Witch tells us that a full 37% of people would consider it a deal breaker if the home that they were buying was the scene of a violent crime. So let's take a look through and see if you think they changed enough to warrant that high price. Here's what it looked like in '96 on the outside. Since 1998, they installed privacy gates and they actually changed the address of the house. Here's what the house looks like today inside. In this crime scene photo of the dining room, take a look at the French doors. They just painted them black and they left the same hardware. Much of the first floor looks exactly the same as it used to, even down to the curtain rods in this family room. New owners have put in a brand new kitchen. You can see the recognizable black and white tile flooring is gone, but they've kept this walk-in refrigerator and added a new stainless steel panel to the front. In the butler's pantry, the black and white tiling is still there. At first glance, the bathrooms in this house might appear updated. When you look a little closer at these old crime scene photos, you'll see they've added a new sink and top, but this vanity and the drawer pulls are exactly the same. And in some of the bathrooms, the distinctive black tile around the tub is still there. In the primary suite, we see that they replaced the old blue carpeting for some fresh beige carpeting, but not much else has changed. Even the wall sconces are the same. Downstairs in the basement, where many think the crime occurred, it's been completely renovated. In this room, the new owners put in a wine cellar. While the rest of the basement used to be a series of storage rooms, it's now one big open entertaining space. Obviously, a lot of this price comes down to the stunning location, but this house was sold in 1998 for only $650,000, and it has been on and off the market at least 6 times since then, most recently with a huge price increase. This place is already priced way higher than any homes around it. So what do you guys think? Would you live here?
This woman was shot and killed by a real-life killer clown. Marlene Warren opened her door to see a clown holding flowers and balloons. As the 40-year-old woman reached out to take the gift, the clown pulled out a shooting her in front of her son. Her son said this was a full clown costume. Makeup, a red nose, wig, and the clown calmly walked away and drove off in a white Chrysler. And Marlene Warren sadly passed away in the hospital a short time later. This happened in 1990 in Palm Beach, Florida, but it sadly remained unsolved for 27 years. And the killer was sentenced this year in 2023. Her husband Michael looked suspicious because he was not home at the time. But because of the elaborate disguise, her son was unable to make a helpful police sketch. The same year of the murder, a coworker of Marlene's husband tipped off police that his wife had been having an affair. His wife left him, and then Michael, now being widowed, married her in 2002. And in 2017, Sheila Keene Warren was arrested for the murder of Marlene Warren. So what was the most damning evidence, and why would solving this take 27 years? Testimony from a local shop placed Sheila buying the costume 2 days before the incident. Also, this was May, so I don't know why she picked a clown costume. Here's another photo of her, and what I'm assuming is a different clown costume. Maybe this lady just had a thing for clowns. A white Chrysler was located a few days after Marlene's passing, and inside they found a long brown hair and orange fibers. Similar orange fibers were found in Sheila's home, and they were likely from the clown wig. This was in 1990, and DNA testing was in its infancy. The cold case was reopened, and the brown hair was tested to be Sheila's, Michael's new wife. She was arrested in 2017, but wasn't sentenced until 2023. Sheila was sentenced to just 12 years for the murder as part of a plea deal. And with time served, she's actually going to get out sometime relatively soon. Michael was not charged, even though I'm sure he knew that his second wife killed his first one. In a recent interview with Michael and Marlene's son, he said that he's just glad to have closure. But what do you guys think? How long should she have gotten for the murder of Marlene Warren?
Seekers, man, yeah, how long should she have gotten? She just got 12 years, bro. And the case went unsolved for 20 years. You would think she would get a harsher sentence. And Ed, the freaking husband, I'm pretty, like she said, she's pretty sure that he knew what happened. She just dressed in a freaking full clown costume and just decided to end it all, man. What the hell? For all the things, why was she obsessed with clowns? Out of all the things she could have wore, she chose a clown. That's what's really pinging off my freaking head, bro. That it. Gotta call it like I see it.
This is the Trey Sesler case, the YouTuber who murdered his entire family. This is Trey Sesler, and he was known as Mr. Anime on YouTube. Back in the early days of YouTube, Trey was actually a super popular creator on the platform. And he's also been credited to kickstart the anime community all on YouTube. In his videos, he would review anime, video games, and stuff like that. And he got a couple 100,000 followers. But as time went on, people started to realize something wasn't right. He started to make a lot of videos with weapons in them, like guns, and he also posted images and talked about how he had killed animals. He used real weapons in some of his videos, and he even went to random buildings at night and just shot at them for no reason at all. But in 2012, Trey's life would take a disturbing turn. In February of that year, he posted on his channel saying that he was going to reward himself and take a break. But on March 13th, 2012, he said he found a new job, which was 100% going to prevent him from posting on YouTube in the future. And on March 20th, 2012, Trey decided he was going to kill people. And he decided to start out by killing his family. On that day, he went to his family's home and lured his mom into the garage. And he then shot her in the chest at point-blank range, killing her. He then went back into the house and shot his brother dead in the head. Trey's father, who was sleeping, woke up from all the gunshots and walked over to investigate. And Trey then shot him in the chest, just like he did to his mom. And to even make it more sinister, after doing this and killing his entire family, he walked around the house killing all of the family's pets. He then took ammunition and weapons and started walking towards the high school at the end of the street. And we could all assume what his climactic plan was. Trey later claimed that he wanted to kill at least 70 students at the school so that he could be the deadliest mass killer in United States history. And he said he killed his family first because he didn't want them to see what he was about to do, and said that he was completely inspired by the Columbine killers. But thankfully, right before Trey was about to commit the shooting at the school, he backed down and was quickly arrested afterwards. Also, after the shootings, it was discovered that he had written a lot of stuff all over the doors and walls, and this was evidence that he had been disturbed for quite a long time. This is just an insane case, and I can't believe stuff like this happens so consistently in our world.
911, where's your emergency?
My house.
Okay, what's the emergency?
I just killed my mom and my sister.
You just killed your mother and your sister? How did you do that?
I shot him with a .22 revolver.
Are you sure they're dead?
Yes.
Okay, I want you to stay on the phone with me, okay? Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. Where's the gun?
It's on the kitchen counter.
Is there any reason that you were so angry at your mother and your sister?
I don't know. I wasn't, it's weird. I wasn't even really angry with them. It just kind of happened. I've been kind of planning on killing for a while now.
The two of them, or just anybody?
Pretty much anybody.
Why?
I don't know. I don't really like people's kind of attitude.
Right.
I think it's kind of, they're very, like, you know, emotional, I don't know, verbally rude to each other and stuff like that.
Right.
I don't know.
It's okay.
It's just my family, I don't know, they're just kind of really, I guess this is really selfish to say, but to me, I felt like they were just suffocating me in a way. I don't know. I think obviously, you know, I'm pretty, I guess, evil, but, whatever.
Okay. No, don't be sorry. I'm listening. Okay, you have my undivided attention.
This is really gonna mess me up for this, you know, in the future. Being my sister, I told my sister that my mom needed her.
Mm-hmm.
She was in her room, and she came out of her room, and I shot her, rolled down the stairs, and I shot her again, and I went down and I shot my mom about maybe 3 or 4 times. But I'll never forget that my sister, she came down the stairs and she was screaming, and I was telling her that I'm sorry, but to just told Bill that, you know, I was just gonna make it go away, you know, but she just kept on freaking me out. But finally she fell down and I shot her in the head about probably 3 times.
So they're both downstairs?
Yes.
Okay, where are you?
In the kitchen.
Okay. You're not sitting by the gun, are you?
No, it's about like 10 or 15 feet away from me.
All right. Where's your dad?
He's out of town.
Do you know where he is? Out of town?
Washington, D.C. And for, I guess, future reference, I don't really want to see any of my family members, you know, like and visiting or whatever. I don't know how it works or anything, but I just don't want any type of visitors.
This girl was kept in a box.
The freaking... The head that she just said, it's okay, and I have your undivided attention. I know it was her, I guess it was her job, I guess, to keep him on the phone, just keep his focus, but damn, like I said, I can never do that type of job, because you have to hear things like that every day, boy. You just have to be calm, you have to try to freaking keep them on the phone, even like when you hear them do those horrific acts, man. Small man, sister, bro. RP to them. Damn, bro. And he was just talking so calmly too. Like I said, I never understood that aspect. I don't know how people do it. See, because I just don't.
Box and used as a sex slave for 7 years. 20-year-old Colleen Stan is an American woman who was kidnapped and held as a sex slave by Cameron and Janice Hooker in their California home for over 7 years between 1977 and 1984. Her case has received international fame and has been a subject of many books, films, and television series. On May 19th, 1977, Colleen Stan was hitchhiking from her home in Eugene, Oregon, to a friend's home in Northern California where she was heading to a birthday party. Cameron Hooker kidnapped 20-year-old Colleen after picking her up. Colleen said she was a very experienced hitchhiker and had allowed 2 rides to go past her before accepting the ride with Cameron Hooker. Colleen said she felt confident climbing into the blue van because Hooker's wife Janice and their baby were in the car. They then stopped at a gas station along the way, and Colleen went to use the restroom. And she said a voice told her to run out and jump out the window and never look back, but she never did, which she definitely regrets. When they left, they got on the highway, and Cameron Hooker pulled over on the side of the road and put a knife to Colleen's throat. all the way until they got to an isolated area. She was then locked in a wooden box that was designed to prevent light, sound, and fresh air entering. After this, Colleen was tortured and kept locked in the box for 23 hours a day until she was given a contract and forced to sign herself into slavery for life in January 1978. Her kidnapper also said that they were being watched by a powerful organization called the Company, and if she ever tried to escape, they would torture her and harm her family. Colleen then became a slave, and her new name was Kay, and she was forced to call Cameron master. Cameron then started raping Colleen, and it was mostly consisting of oral rape. Cameron reportedly didn't want to have normal sex with Colleen because he considered that to breach his agreement with his wife. Instead, he raped her with objects. To avoid painful punishments, Colleen tried to comply with Cameron's commandments, which later led to her being allowed to go out to jog and work in the yard, and even help him with bigger stuff like an underground dungeon for more slaves. Even with an open door, neighbors, and a telephone, she never made an attempt to escape because her fear of the Company kept her from seeking help. Additionally, Stan was also allowed to visit her family by herself in 1981, but did not reveal her situation due to her fear of the possible consequences from the Company. Her family thought she was involved in some sort of cult, and they did not want to pressure her to stay in fear that she would stay away forever. The next day, Colleen returned for a second visit with Cameron posing as her boyfriend. Cameron feared that he had given his slave too much freedom and took her back to his home, where he locked her in the wooden box under his waterbed. She remained in the box 23 hours a day for the next 3 years. Colleen would go to the bathroom using a bed pen which she positioned under herself with her feet. Once Cameron's children had gone to bed, he would take Colleen out of the box and feed her and torture her. Colleen was not allowed to make any noise, and she had to stay still for 23 hours a day in the complete dark, with little to no air to breathe. In the summer, the box would get over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. In 1983, Colleen was allowed to get a job as a maid at a hotel, and Cameron wanted her to become his second wife, which was a turning point for Janice, who is his wife. And in August 1984, Janice began struggling with herself and went to Colleen. She then told her that Cameron was not part of the Company and the Company wasn't even real. Janice then helped Colleen escape to a bus station where they had Colleen's parents help bring her home. Colleen Stan is still alive today, and she experiences PTSD and has extreme back and shoulder injuries, which is from being trapped in a small box for 7 years straight. This case is extremely gut-turning, and could you ever imagine this happening to you? Luckily, Cameron Hooker was found guilty of kidnapping and sexual assault and was sentenced to 104 years in prison.
Insane secrets, bro. Truly a freaking evil case, man. Seekers, if you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate your support, man. Like I said, guys, in order for us to grow, man, I need you guys to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, man, hit that post notification button as well. Just do those 3 simple steps, man. We can grow. Like I said, I appreciate you guys for supporting these past couple of videos. We're gonna keep going, man. Haven't missed a day of March, bro, so we gotta clap it up, man. Guys, I'm catching the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, seekers.